Welcome, 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 welcome. Come on in, tag somebody, let them know that we're alive tonight. Normally we'd be doing Dr. Jeff Experience, but we're going to do something a little different tonight. We're actually doing the virtual town hall. As you well know, my name is Dr. Jeff Fauntleroy Sr., and I am a candidate for the 13th Congressional District in the state of Georgia. So we're going to have a virtual town hall tonight. You can come on in and ask questions. I'm just tagging some folks to come on in, and so you do the same. You do the same. I want you to invite somebody in and let them know that this is a chance for folks to come on, and you may have some questions for me tonight. There's so much going on, and it's happening so fast. Literally, as I was prepping for tonight, news was rapidly coming forth. I mean, it just we're in strange times, but we're going to talk about some facts tonight. So come on in. I'm gonna wait for some to come on. Let people know that we are live tonight. Let them know. Come on in and tag some folks. I'm tagging a few friends now, and come on in. Bring them on in. Tonight, you'll be able to post your questions in the chat. If you're watching with us, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or LinkedIn Live, you can post your questions and we will get to them. I'll give you about 2 more minutes and then we're going to go ahead and start. Come on in and let's talk. Let's have some discussion. We're going to talk about a few things. Let me know what is on your mind, what you'd like to see happen, not just in District 13, but really in our nation, because that's where I'll be. I'll be in Washington representing you and District 13. So come on in. I'm going to give it just a little bit more. And we're going to get started. Got some folks I need to let know that we are here. All right. So again, welcome. Welcome to our town hall live tonight. We're going to jump right into it because there's some hot button topics that we want to talk about, and I want to see if I can bring some clarity to the forefront. I want to see if I can bring, and I'm going to bring some notes on here so I can keep accurate. Hope everybody's having a good time. And listen, people, please, please, please do yourself a favor and fact everything. Don't just fall for every headline that you see or hear, but fact check everything. Fact check everything. Wow, my wife. First question: how can you, as a congressman, help to stop ISIS attack on citizens and non-citizens? Well, you know what? Let me jump right into that. Immigration. Let's talk about immigration. So, uh, number one, as a congressperson, as a member of the House of Representatives, what my position would be is to support humane lawful immigration reform that respects the lives of families across District 13 and this nation. I think that it's harmful to our world to show the inhumane treatment that we give to people who have fled other countries for the sake of their livelihood. I mean, we've got people, mothers and fathers and families who have picked up and got their got their young ones and their families and walked for months across the border. Now I understand that there's a proper way to come in, but we've got people who have lived here for years, who have given to this nation, who have paid taxes, who have opened stores, who have gone to work in places that a lot of us wouldn't go. They've done the job, they show up on the job, and all of a sudden, after 10, 15 years, they have no criminal record. But we're going to snatch them up, put their children in holding facilities, separate the families, hold them there, treat them inhumanely after all that they've contributed. I know that there's a better way. I know that there's a better way. Also, so I will support humane and lawful immigration reform. I respect the fact that we ought to have border control. Okay, we definitely need to have border control, but in a humane way. Um, I believe in targeted enforcement. This stuff that's going on in Minnesota is totally out of control. And let me say this, one of the reasons that I'm running is because our District 13 representative, David Scott, voted for voted for funding ICE today. He voted for it. He's one of 21 Democrats who supported this bill to fund ICE, because this bill to fund the budget and not have a government shutdown, part of that was to fund ICE. I can't believe it. But he's always voted with the president. Matter of fact, not only does he vote with the president, but he doesn't even vote in national elections. So it's time for him to go. But I believe in targeted enforcement. I'll give you an experience as a former law enforcement officer. Many times I've worked with the United States Marshals, the DEA task force, FBI, um, Secret Service, and with the U.S. Marshals. I'll just take them for instance. We have gone after fugitives, and in doing so, it was targeted enforcement. In other words, we set up, we had a briefing, we knew exactly who we were going after, and we didn't just go after people on the street on our way to get the person that we were trying to deal with or try to apprehend. This type of enforcement or this type of lawlessness that is going on in Minnesota and California and all these other places where ICE is around, it's crazy. Number one, they're wearing masks and they're wearing uniforms that don't identify themselves. How do people know? I can tell you that that's a problem, because if they roll up on some people are going to think that they're getting robbed. And then what's going to happen is other people are going to defend themselves, and then you're going to have a shootout or whatever else can happen. Okay. You've got people who have no training for urban tactics, for doing law enforcement within the cities, within municipalities. They have no respect for law enforcement who is already there doing their job. So I would make sure that number one, we stop this whole ICE thing. Matter of fact, I would really look into the Homeland Security, because I think we've just gotten too far. ICE, okay, ICE has the largest budget. They have a budget that's bigger than any law enforcement agency in the United States. Their budget is larger than the military's budget. So, did we just add another portion of the military? This whole thing is out of control when it comes to ICE. Again, it would be targeted enforcement, and targeted enforcement means you have a list of people that you're going after. And let's not forget that the whole thing behind this was we're going after the worst of the worst. We're going after people who don't have their papers with them. We're going into schools and snatching students out of schools. We're snatching mom and grandmom and grandpop and some honest worker off a construction site. They have no record, no criminal record at all. And then they're put into these centers. And now all of a sudden we've built all of these holding centers all throughout the United States. Massive, massive people. They're trying to do one here in Social Circle, Georgia. And the capacity that they want to build this place for is larger than the population of the city by 2 to 1. That's not good legislation. But yet, our District 13 representative, David Scott, voted for that today. He's got to go. He's out of touch. He's been there too long. So, another thing, I would keep families together and protect due process for those long-standing residents who have contributed to the local communities. Those folks who just get up in the morning, go to work, open up their business, trying to do the right thing, trying to make sure that they get in legally. I would make sure that their families are together and protect due process. One of the other things when it comes to immigration, I would ensure clear, legal work authorization pathways to strengthen local labor markets. That's something that has to be clear. I would expand access to trusted legal information through partnerships with law institutions, faith institutions, and nonprofits. Now, let me explain something to you when I say this. Expand access to trusted legal information through partnerships with law institutions, faith institutions, and nonprofits. When I was in Florida, I was an investigator with the Florida Bar Association. And so many of my cases were people who preyed, Prey, preyed on the immigrant community. And what they did was they promised them to provide paperwork and legal assistance, even though they were not licensed. These were unlicensed people who were taking advantage of people who were in need of help. And what these people did, these unlicensed predators, what they would do is they would take people's money and they would promise them to be able to get them citizenship. And I would go after them. And I have, man, I found so many cases of this, closed down their operation, and then set it up for adjudication. So I would expand access to trusted legal um, information through partnerships with law institutions, faith institutions, and nonprofits, because that's where um, most immigrants feel more comfortable, through law institutions, through faith institutions, and nonprofits. I would also promote local coordination, so immigration policy supports public safety and economic stability and not fear. Brother Joel has 2 questions. He says, as part of Congress, would you support bills to have Trump investigated for numerous corruption allegations, including but not limited to the seizing of ballots from Fulton County? Well, number one, let's take that. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to deal with that. That was one of the first things I was going to deal with, and I'll get to that. Matter of fact, um, I'll get back to immigration. Let's deal with that. What Donald Trump did was illegal, and then to have the national security director involved was totally out of pocket, totally out of place. That person only deals with foreign intelligence. She has nothing to do with domestic intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard. She has nothing to do with domestic terrorism. It's all about international. So, yes, I would support a bill to have Trump investigated because they're trying to this election. Listen, the Georgia election has been investigated by so many people. It's been in internal audit, it's been an external audit. Our Republican governor, Brian Kemp, our Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, all stated that there was no corruption when it came to the 2020 election or any election. So, what Trump is doing, he knows that the midterm elections are a threat to him and these corrupt politicians. And now he's doing everything that he can to threaten. So, yes, I would. Second question is, as part of Congress, would you support legislation for something like Medicaid for all or universal health care? Absolutely. Now, I don't want to jump around. What I want to do, and I'm going to get to that because that's really a hotbed issue. Thank you so much, Brother Joel, for that. Let me stick with the voter rights for a second because I need to do everything that I can to provide clarity from research. That's why I say research. We've got so many tools that we can do the research to find out what the truth is. Let's deal with this voter rights. So lately, you've heard something about the SAVE Act. Republicans are pushing this thing called the SAVE Act. And that bill is H.R. 22 that was introduced by a Republican named Chip Roy, Representative Chip Roy out of Texas. He sits on he's not a senator, he's a congressperson. He sits in the House of Representatives from the state of Texas. The SAVE Act is simply an acronym, SAVE, for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility. Now, we've got so many things that are in place, first of all, that safeguards the vote. I don't know about you, but I've been voting since I was 18 years old and could vote. I've always had to show identification. Started off with my voter registration card. You can't get a voter registration card unless you are a United States citizen. You have to show that you are a United States citizen when you get your voter registration card. Then, after I got a driver's license, I showed that or anything else that they had. What this SAVE Act could do is silence millions of voters by creating new unnecessary barriers to voter registration that makes it harder for Americans to make their voices heard. This is all smoke and mirrors. They're trying to do everything that they can to claim that they're protecting voters' rights. But as I go through this, you will see that those safeguards are already in place. So HR 22 or the SAVE Act, it requires individuals to provide documentary proof of United States citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Somebody please tell me where you can go and just show up and vote without any identification. I don't understand that. and you have to be a United States citizen. That's already on the rolls, and it's being enforced. Trust me, I've voted in enough elections to know. Specifically with H.R. 22, the bill prohibits states from accepting and processing an application to register to vote in a federal election unless the applicant presents documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, which is already in place. The bill specifies what documents are considered acceptable proof of U.S. citizenship. Now, here we go. Such as identification that complies with the Real ID Act of 2005 that indicates United States citizenship. Now, this is where it starts getting a little freaky because a lot of people are having a problem getting their real ID, but they can still show their citizenship. So let's just deal with that. Now, under the Constitution, I want you to hear this. Article 1 of Section 4 of the United States Constitution explains that the states have the primary authority over election administration, the times, places, and manner of holding elections. Let me say that again. Because now they're trying to say, and when I say they, the Republicans and the president, led by the president, and people who are running him, what they are saying is that the states are not running the elections correctly, which is not true. But Article 1, the Constitution, Article 1, Section 4 of our Constitution explains that the states have what? Primary authority over election administration, the times, places, and manners of holding elections. Now, conversely, the Constitution grants the Congress a purely secondary role to alter or create election laws only in the extreme cases of, here it is, invasion, legislative neglect, or obstinate refusal to pass election laws. I have not seen any of this. Neither have you. So don't fall for the 52 fake out. Don't do it. Don't do it. You need to know that there were 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote. Here it is. The 15th Amendment in 1870 says that a male citizen of any race can vote. That's one. The 19th Amendment says that any citizen, including women, can vote. That came much later. And then the 24th Amendment to the Constitution in 1964 says it made poll taxes illegal. Remember, they used to have poll taxes for black folk. And then the 26th Amendment was added in 1971, and it says that all citizens who are 18 years old and older can vote. So I'm letting you know that I will push for voting rights. I will make sure that we maintain what we have as our voting rights. I will push to make sure that we have a Voting Rights Act. I will not let Republicans or even Democrats take away our voting rights because nothing has been proven illegal. Let me give another thing that I will push for, and I don't think that a lot of people understand this. And today's funding bill was a example of what I'm talking about. I will push for single issue legislative bills. so that lawmakers can't hide unpopular or what they call pork policies inside big legislative packages. In other words, what happens when some of these folks put together these bills? They'll have 10 items in it. Nine of them, nine of them, you would think, I can go for that. I think the American citizens will uh, do well with those. But then the 10th one is something that really goes against everything. And if you don't vote for that bill, then what happens is you look like you are going against American citizens. And then you've got to explain yourself that the first nine issues within that bill were great, but they slid something in on the 10th item and I couldn't go for it. So I will push for the single issue legislative bill. So lawmakers can't hide unpopular or pork policies inside big legislative packages, like the one we just had, which they called the big beautiful bill. I call it the big ugly bill. Here's another thing. Here's another thing. And look, let me say this because it's coming out now where a lot of the people who are running for this race, they've accumulated tons of money, tons of money. And some people have said to me, Dr. Jeff, man, these people got a lot of money. You going to run up against that? M- Money doesn't mean anything to me. Know that we do need donations and we do need the help from others so that we can pay volunteers. We can pay for people who are doing work with us. So we need your we need your donation. However, I am not going to let big outside folk contribute to my election because there will come a time where they are going to want something for what they paid for. Listen, I've been in enough campaigns and I know enough about public service and politics because there's a difference. I know the difference that sooner or later, those folks that plow money into your campaign, you're going to have to pay up. So, God bless those who are getting all this money. I don't have anything against them, but I'm going to do the hard work and I'm going to do the research. I'm going to show up to your location and I'm going to educate all of us so that we know what's going on. We know what the facts are. We know what we are voting on. And you will know that when you vote for me, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm day one ready to go in and legislate for you. Now, let me give you one more when it comes to this election stuff. I will fight for an independent redistricting commission. What that does is that fights against partisan gerrymandering. In other words, right now, you've got these Republicans and Democrats, and what they're wanting to do is they'll go into different districts. District 13 in the state of Georgia is a prime example. They've cut it up in such a way that they've taken parts of different municipalities out of District 13 so that it works in favor of a Republican stronghold. So what I will do is, and there's a few states that have this, I will fight for an independent redistricting commission so that we can fight against partisan gerrymandering. Okay? So let's go through this again, and then I'm going to go forward with another hot button item. And I hope I've answered part of your question, Brother Joel. And we're going to get to the Medicaid for All because that's a big one. In other words, universal health care is what we need. H.R. 22, which was introduced by Republican Chip Roy out of the House from Texas, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. That could possibly silence millions of voters by creating new barriers to voter registration that make it harder for Americans to make their voices heard. I will fight against that because our sitting person, David Scott, who's a representative right now in office for over 20 years, for District 13, is not fighting against it. As a matter of fact, today he voted for funding of ICE. Again, for you to go and research, look at Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution that explains this way. States have the primary authority over election administration, the times, places, and the manner of holding elections. Conversely, the Constitution grants the Congress a purely secondary role to alter or create election laws only in the extreme cases of invasion, legislative neglect, or obstinate refusal to pass election laws. None of that has been proven in the state of Georgia. Yet, our president weaponized Federal Bureau of Investigations to go and seize your vote, your information, and we have no idea where our records are or what's going to be done with it. It's just like when Elon Musk came in with Doge. We don't know where those records are or who has access to them. So that's where I am. I'll push for single issue legislative bills so lawmakers can't hide unpopular or pork policies inside big legislative packages. And also, from the question of Brother Joel, would I support a bill to have Trump investigated for the numerous corruption allegations, including but not limited the seizing of ballots from Fulton County? Absolutely 100%. So we dealt with immigration, we dealt with the voting laws. Let's deal with education. As a matter of fact, for time's sake, I'm going to wait until the end to deal with healthcare because that's going to be big. So let me deal with education. As a congressperson in District 13, when you elect me, I will make sure that I will fully fund public schools and Title I programs. I have experience as a former Board of Education member, board vice president, and a college trustee, and also a classroom teacher. I taught high school for 3 years. I know the importance of funding public schools. I know what teachers have to go through just to get tools to help their students, to teach their students. I know the problems and the funding that we have with Title I programs. I understand that. I lived it. So I will make sure that we fully fund public schools and Title I programs. Also, I will push to increase teacher pay, classroom resources, support staff across all of our counties in District 13 and for the nation. Man, again, as a former educator, as a former member and vice president of Board of Education, and as a college trustee, as an educator, I understand about the inequities of teacher pay. I also know about classroom resources and the lack thereof. I can't tell you now, as it was when we taught in Florida. My sister was in one classroom. Right next door was me, and right next door to that was my wife. My wife taught nursing skills, okay, and nursing skills and health. I taught criminal justice, and my sister taught. I think she taught history. And man, all of us understood the problems that we had with oversized classrooms. For some reason, I ended up being a dumping ground, but I loved it. My classroom was orderly. They learned. Um, Man, I was blessed to see a number of my students go on to be attorneys, law enforcement individuals, people in the military, people who went into corrections. Um, Man, we were blessed. We were blessed because we taught them as humans. But I also had to deal with buying my own resources. I didn't have I didn't have any support staff, to be honest with you. We had to do it on our own with 40 some odd students. That's crazy. So I will fight to fully fund public schools, Title I programs. I will make sure I would fight with all that I have to increase teacher pay, classroom resources, and support staff across District 13. I would also expand career and technical education, CTE, align with logistics, healthcare, and skilled trades all over District 13. Listen, I came home one day and I kept hearing this noise. And on the second day, I went to investigate it, and there was a pinhole size hole in the expansion tank of my water heater. And it had gone on for 2 days and flooded my basement. I can't tell you how crazy I was scurrying around trying to find a plumber who can come out and just at least stop the water from running and then fix the leak. Finally got one, 8 o'clock at night. They came. Thank God he stayed until it was fixed. The next day, I had to clean out the basement. It was a mess. So I understand that the investment in career and technical education is a must. We need more healthcare workers and skilled trades people. Here's the other thing we're dealing with education. I don't know if you've seen this, but the Department of Education, under the president, has come out with courses that they believe are not worthy of funding anymore. It's an auxiliary kind of thing. Nursing. Can you believe that? They believe that nursing is not an important field to go into anymore. I don't know about him, but that's easy for him to say as the president of the United States because he has some of the best doctors available to him. I've been married to a nurse all my life. My aunt was a nurse. My mother's sister was a nurse. My first cousin, Stacy, is a nurse. I know what they go through. I know how hard they work. I know the care that they give. And for the our nation to come out and say that these courses are not worthy of paying for, it's a smack in the face. So I will expand career and technical education, CTE, aligned with logistics, healthcare, and skilled trades. I will also strengthen investment in our HBCUs. I'm a double HBCU graduate. I went to Morehouse School of Religion at the Interdenominational Theological Center, where I got my master's degree, and then I got my doctorate degree from Howard University. So I know what you get at an HBCU. Also, community colleges. Community colleges are essential to our nation's growth. And apprenticeships, okay? Listen, um, I'm part of the Howard University alumni group here in Atlanta, and I often see some of the apprenticeships that are forged through some of the young people who are looking for a new start as they matriculate through their courses. I will also support after school mentoring and youth development programs to improve outcomes and reduce crime. In most metropolitan cities, the highest crime rate times are between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. I was a policeman. I know between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock, when children get out of school, parents don't get home until later on. Those young folks don't have anything to do, nowhere to go. Idle time is the time of the enemy. This is what happens. I was a product of an after school program, after school and mentoring. Um, I know what it does. It kept me out of trouble. It also helped me with my homework. It helped me to be an avid reader. So I'll push for that. Let's talk about some economic development. One of the things I will do is I will prioritize small businesses and minority owned enterprises. As a former small business and medium sized business owner, my wife and I, we owned a UPS store. I also owned a private investigation and security business in Florida. And I know, I know the intricate details and the problems that we have with small businesses and minority owned enterprises. I will push, I will push for the Small Business Administration to be a better help to our small businesses and minority owned enterprises. I will push for more funding and to help small businesses go from being a hobby to a real business. There has to be some teaching, there has to be some mentoring to help people become that small business person that they want to. I often help people even now. They come to me and they say, "Hey, I want to start a business." And oftentimes, not oftentimes, sometimes what people think is a business is a hobby. So we've got to get them to the mode and the thinking of how to be a business person and how to be a business owner and not just a business worker. That requires them to have a mindset of an owner instead of the worker in a business. I will support a living wage for jobs tied to responsible commercial growth in all of our counties. A living wage so that we can have people to get their credit scores up to 720. I can tell you now, um, I, I know that things in a 540 neighborhood are different in a 720 credit score neighborhood. A 540 credit score neighborhood is different from what takes place in a 720 credit score neighborhood. So we want to get people a living wage so that they can get them help to get their credit score done, teach them about spending habits, not trying to spend beyond their means. So we want to be responsible for commercial growth in our district. I want to see us expand access to capital, grants, and technical assistance for entrepreneurs. We're in the age of artificial intelligence. And if you're not getting with it, it's going to leave you behind. We have to be technically astute in order to compete with this nation and beyond. If we want to deal with business beyond these United States, which I would suggest that you try to do, trade in the United States and outside the United States, we've got to get capital, grants, and technical assistance. What I want to do is attract development that creates jobs without displacement of long term residents. In other words, I will fight to bring in Fortune 500 companies to build, but not displace long-time residents. We can attract major corporations to come here in District 13, but we don't have to do that in lieu of displacing long-time residents. I'll fight for that. I'll fight against folks coming in and want to do eminent domain. I will also align workforce training with high growth sectors and local employer demand. That's what we'll do when it comes to economic development. Now, let me talk about something that's near and dear to me, and that's criminal justice. What I want to see is I want to advance community centered public safety that balances accountability with prevention. Accountability with prevention. Let me say that again. Advance community centered public safety that balances accountability with prevention. That means that law enforcement is not a militarized organization. I understand the role that law enforcement has to play to make sure that we have safe neighborhoods and safe communities. But based upon my experience, when you have a community centered, public safety minded law enforcement group that balances accountability with prevention, you have a better community. You have more respect for law enforcement. Law enforcement has more respect for their community because they know the community and the community knows them. I'm talking about criminal justice system that reaches out to the community, that's at the basketball games to watch people play instead of enforce uh, ice type situations. I want to fund mental health professionals and crisis response teams to support law enforcement countrywide. I currently serve on the Gwinnett County Police Citizens Advisory Board. And I'm so impressed with what Gwinnett Police Department has. They have a behavioral health unit that's available to them 24 hours a day. They go out on calls that are behavioral health crisis, and they go out and they know how to handle certain situations. Unfortunately, we just lost one of our officers with Gwinnett, God rest his soul, and God be with his family, who just responded before the tragedy that took place that took his life. He responded to a behavioral health situation with a young student going through a crisis. The mother called the police and they sent him and somebody with the behavioral health unit, and they were able to break down this situation. So I would push and fund mental health professionals and crisis response teams to support law enforcement countywide. Also, I will invest in reentry programs, job training, and housing stability. What we don't want to do is continue having uh, recidivism, prison recidivism. I would fight to have reentry programs. I had one when I was at a particular church. We had a reentry program. I would fight to have job training and housing stability. One of the things we got to do as a community is we have to realize that I think it's upwards of 85% of every incarcerated person at some point in time will come back home, will come back into the community. And what are we going to do about it? If we don't do anything, they're going to show up at your doorstep. I will also promote fair sentencing, transparency, and accountability across the justice system. I met with a young lady who, just 2 weeks ago, who had her son get killed in a horrific way. Any killing is horrific. This was a person who was a great, great community person, great student, never been in trouble, and the justice that she's receiving is not good. And I want to fight to promote fair sentencing, transparency, and accountability across the justice system. I never want to see that happen again. One of the things that I know I can do is strengthen partnerships among law enforcement, faith leaders, and community organizations. I had the pleasure of graduating from Howard University to receive my doctoral degree in divinity. Um, I received my doctorate of ministry. And my doctoral dissertation at Howard was the importance of community partnerships. I also wrote a book um, for the love of community. I will make sure that we strengthen partnerships among law enforcement, faith leaders, and community organizations so that we have a more comprehensive, community wise law enforcement agency. Now, there's more resources for officers that we can get to do their job safely. And I'll fight for increased federal support through something called the Burn JAG grant, JAG. I'll fight for the COPS hiring program. I'll fight for the Homeland Security preparedness funding. And these funds will do certain things. They will support modern equipment, technology upgrades, training expansion, officer wellness programs. I know how important it is when it comes to officer wellness programs. What we need to know is officers cannot protect the community if Washington refuses to protect its officers. Now, let's deal with infrastructure real quick. I will increase the amount of federal funding for road repairs, congestion relief, and safer intersections all throughout District 13. And when we come to Henry County and Clayton County and Gwinnett County and Newton County and Rockdale County, all of our counties, I don't have to tell you what it's like at 8 o'clock in the morning on 85, on 285, on 124, on all of our roads. We need road repairs and we need congestion relief. I hate to keep seeing in the news that the Atlanta area or the Atlanta outside of perimeter, in the perimeter, one, that we're the highest when it comes to car accidents, um, traffic accident, all kinds of traffic, being stuck in traffic, traffic congestion. I will fight to increase the amount of federal funding for road repairs, congestion relief, and safer intersections all throughout our county. I will also fight to improve public transit connectivity, linking residents to jobs, schools, and healthcare. It is a tragedy to have young students walking miles just to get to school or trying to go to their job after school and not have a ride. And all of the money that they make goes towards Ubers or Lyfts. Um, Also, for our elderly and other adults and young people who have to go to the doctor and don't have a ride, we've got to make sure that we improve public transit connectivity. So I will fight for that. I'm not going to wait for an emergency. Instead, I will push to upgrade water, sewer, and stormwater systems to protect our neighborhoods. I'm not going to wait for an emergency. You see, all across our nation, we don't do anything until there's an emergency. I will push to upgrade water, sewer, and stormwater systems to protect neighborhoods. I will expand broadband access for students, seniors, and small businesses throughout all of our counties in District 13. It makes no sense for a student not to achieve simply because they couldn't get online to get the lesson. During COVID, we know that our students were home, and if you couldn't get online, if you didn't have broadband access, what do? You can't learn. You can't get the lessons. You can't get the teaching. We need to make sure that our seniors have broadband access so that they can find out what's going on with their doctors. A lot of doctors now, or most of them, they have a portal that they send messages to that gives you your test results. Um, any questions you may have, you go through the portal, you can get right to them. So now you don't have to call, leave a message, wait for somebody to get back to you. You send a message in the portal, they get right back to you. And also small businesses. We want to make sure that small businesses that are in rural areas that they have broadband access. And last but not least, I want to prioritize local hiring and workforce pipelines tied to infrastructure projects. I was at a Clayton County commission meeting, and I heard um, the rallying cry go out for workforce pipelines. So I will make sure that we go for that. Now, listen, guys, I've been talking a lot. If any of you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to go into environment, and then I'm going to close with healthcare. Okay, I'm going to try to go to 8:30 at the latest. Okay, you with me? If you have any questions, go ahead. You can put it in the chat. If you're watching live on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on LinkedIn Live, go ahead and put in your questions, and we'll respond to that. Let's talk about the environment. We've got to put forth legislation that protects residential neighborhoods from data center construction. Now, you know that I've been talking about data centers and fighting the fight to keep data centers outside of residential districts for a long time. Okay? That has been my thing. You've heard me out there, you've seen me on the news, you've seen posts. Um, that's my jam. That's my jam, as they say. I am fighting to make sure that we keep data centers outside of residential districts. Now, I've got to say this to you because we've got to understand that there are differences in data centers. Now, I'm not going to go into that tonight, but I will at some of my other town halls. There's a difference between data centers. There's some data centers that are smaller than others, and uh, some counties can all actually profit from those smaller data centers because they don't use so much energy and water and waste and all of that. So we have to do our research to find out what type of data center wants to be in our neighborhood, but we want to keep it out of residential districts. I want to develop AI regulations and guardrails. I have done research with some of the leading people. As a matter of fact, you see some of the books I have, uh, Governing the Machine, uh, and Empire of AI by Karen Ho, who is a leading researcher when it comes to regulations and guardrails for artificial intelligence. This thing is moving so fast, and legislators are not doing the proper research to make sure that AI is out of control, because it is out of control now. So much so that there's some artificial intelligence programs that they're predatory. They've got some that will strip a person and take their image and make nude pictures and nude videos, doing lewd acts and everything else. So I will help to develop AI regulations and guardrails based upon the information from experts in the field. I will also protect clean air and clean water, particularly near industrial and high density development sites. Uh, for ages, I have been fighting against the development of gas stations and food centers. Um, we've got gas stations, five, six, seven of them within a 2 mile radius or less. What happens when that gas station has a leak, an underground tank leak, and it goes into our aquifers? Or what happens when they go out of business and now they leave and somebody has to clean it up? So I will protect clean air, clean water, particularly near industrial and high density development sites. I will oppose environmentally harmful projects in residential areas without meaningful community input. I have been to meetings from Rockdale County all the way up to Henry County, and I've heard the hue and cry from people who are fighting against environmentally harmful projects. We've got to protect our wetlands and our air, our farmlands. We've got to look out for it. I will invest in green infrastructure, flood mitigation, and tree canopy expansion. I will also support renewable energy and energy efficiency programs to lower household utility costs. Last but not least, when it comes to the environment, I will advance environmental justice so no county bears disproportionate health risk. I'm big on environmental justice and injustice, and I will make sure that I will advance environmental justice so no county bears disproportionate health risk. Now, let's get to the big elephant in the room, healthcare. I just read tonight or earlier today that Senator Warnock just announced today that a news report reveals that 200,000 Georgians have already lost their health care insurance due to GOP cuts. In other words, Republicans in D.C. kicked Georgians off their health care to give their donors a tax cut. It just doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me at all. I will promote and push for universal health care, Medicare for all. It's not primarily a question of whether we spend the money, because we already do. It's a question of whether we keep paying through premiums and surprise bills or pay transparently through taxes and negotiated prices. Listen, this is nothing new. Can I tell you something? Through my research, there's already a Medicare for All Act on both sides. The House bill, H.R. 3421, is a national program administered by Health and Human Services. It would be. It would have automatic enrollment, broad benefits, it bans cost sharing, and limits private insurance to supplemental coverage. In other words, Representative Promilia Jayapal, a Democrat from Washington State, introduced H.R. 3421, Medicare for All Act, on May the 17th, 2023. May the 17th, 2023. It was moved to Subcommittee on Health on December the 17th, 2024. There were 114 co-sponsors, including our own Henry Hank Johnson and Representative Nikema Williams, both out of Georgia. But guess who did not? Guess who did not sponsor it, co-sponsor? Our own representative for District 13, David Scott, did not sign on the Medicare for All Act that was put forth by Representative Promilia Jayapal. That is still a bill that is out there. I'll give you one more. On the same day, May 17th, 2023, I don't know why I'm saying 19, but 2023, Senate Bill 1655, Medicare for All Act, sponsored by Bernie Sanders. It had all Democratic co-sponsors except for, you guessed it, David Scott. David Scott was not a co-sponsor on the Medicare for All Act. Now, what Medicare for All does, it expands access to affordable health care for working families and seniors across the district. I will fight for lower prescription drug costs, especially for chronic conditions that affect older residents. One of the things I would push for is to treat mental health and substance use care as essential healthcare services. Okay? Understand the problems that families are having dealing with mental health and substance use care, substance abuse within the family. I sat with a mother who, their young son was in a car accident. He was an athlete in high school, and he could not play anymore. And for the pain, they gave him opioids, and he got dependent on it. And when the prescription stopped, he went out on the street and found what he thought to be an opioid, and it was laced with fentanyl, and he died on the street. Horrible. We can't have that. We've got to learn to treat mental health and substance use care as essential healthcare services. We've got to strengthen community health centers and preventive care access. And we got to advocate for universal, reliable coverage so healthcare access is not dependent on employment or zip code. Now, a lot of people will talk about the ACA, the American Care Act, okay, which some people don't know the difference between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act. There is no difference. The Affordable Care Act is Obamacare. But let me tell you real quick about what happens with the ACA and what are Affordable Care Act subsidies. The ACA subsidies are federal financial assistance designed to help individuals and families afford private health insurance purchase through the health insurance marketplace. Now, they do not provide health care directly. Instead, they offset the cost of private insurance of premiums and out of pocket expenses. I'm going to be first to tell you that the ACA was good at its time, but it was a band aid on something that needed surgery. And we keep trying to put that band aid back on, and it's falling off. Doesn't have any sticky left. Okay? So, two main types of ACA subsidies are premium tax credits. And what these do is they lower monthly insurance premium and are based on household income, generally between 100% and 400% of the federal poverty level, with temporary expansions at times. Family size and local insurance costs. Now, the credit increases as income decreases and is reconciled at tax time, meaning people can owe money back if income changes. Number two is cost sharing reductions, CSRs. These reduce the deductibles, copays, and out of pocket maximums, but only if income is below a certain threshold and the person enrolls in a specific silver plan. Here's what ACA subsidies accomplish and their limits. What the ACA did well was it reduced the uninsured rate nationwide. It ended denial of coverage for pre existing conditions, expanded coverage for millions of working people. It provided a lifeline where employer insurance was available. But where the ACA subsidies fell short was it's a patch on a broken system and not a replacement for it. The key limitations voters experience daily with the ACA is insurance is still tied to private companies. Premiums continue to rise faster than wages. High deductibles delay care for even insured families. Coverage can change or disappear with income fluctuations. Different plans, networks, and rules, they create confusion and gaps. Basically, in short, subsidized insurance is not the same as guaranteed health care. So, why universal health care is a better option? Universal health care replaces the subsidy model with guaranteed coverage, not discounted access to private insurance. ACA subsidies discounts private insurance. Universal health care guarantees health care. ACA subsidies, income tested and complex. Universal health care, automatic and simple. ACA subsidies, high deductibles remain. Universal health care, minimal or no cost at point of care. ACA subsidies, job and income instability affects coverage. Universal health care, coverage follows you for life. Last but not least, ACA subsidies, multiple insurers and networks. Universal health care, one standard national system. Can I give you some more real quick? Let me give you some more about Medicare for all and universal health care, why we need to have it. The United States already runs a successful national health care program called Medicare. What Medicare proves is that the government can administer health care efficiently. Administrative costs are far lower than private insurance. Coverage is stable and trusted. Care is not tied to employment. Prices are controlled through national purchasing power. So, Medicare did not eliminate a choice of doctors, it eliminated insurance chaos. Why universal health care is better for working families? With the ACA subsidies, which I just went over, with ACA subsidies, the American Care Act, or Obamacare, if you want to call that, the Affordable Care Act, I'm sorry. Families shop plans every year. Coverage changes with your income or job status. A medical emergency can still mean thousands in bills. Small businesses struggle to provide coverage. But with universal health care, coverage is automatic and permanent. There's no fear of losing insurance when you change jobs. And preventive care happens earlier, saving lives and money. Small businesses are freed from insurance burdens. Healthcare becomes a public good like fire protection or public education, not a financial gamble. People of District 13 and this nation, I just went over some of the things that I will commit to. I will commit to as your elected official, your elected congressperson for District 13 in the state of Georgia. Listen, I'm battle tested. I'm day one ready. I'm not emotionally driven. I'm well built to fight this fight. I will take the middle road. I believe that you cannot fight extremism with extremism. Extremism on both sides is a plane wreck, and it's not good for the nation. I don't know about you, but as a citizen of these United States of America, I am sick and tired of extremism on both sides of the aisle. I want to be that middleman that supports American citizens, that fights for fair immigration, that keeps families together. I'm not emotionally driven. Like I said before, I'm battle tested and ready to fight. This is not my first rodeo. I've been in public service all of my life. I've served the citizens of District 13, the state of Georgia, the state of Florida, the state of New Jersey. Wherever I've gone, I've been in public service. I am ready. Day one. Vote for me. Show support for our candidacy. If you can, please go to our website. Please go to our website. Let me make sure I get that up. It is, let me put it in here for you. It is, I hope you're sharing this with somebody and letting them know what's going on with this virtual town hall. All right, I'm going to put this up. There's our website. You can go to our website and get more information. You can donate through our website. We need your support. As I told you, there's a lot of money being thrown around out here. I'm not taking a lot of corporate money. Okay? We're not going to do that. I need you, those citizens who believe in the things that I went through tonight. I'm going to continue to do more town halls. We'll be in Jonesboro on February the 10th at the Jonesboro Library. We'll be there. I think it's at 5:30. We'll be there. We'll have some refreshments. Come on and ask your questions. Hear some more of these facts. And then we're somewhere else. I can't remember. We're going to be in your community throughout District 13. We're going to be in Henry County, in Clayton County, in Rockdale County, Gwinnett County, Newton County, DeKalb County. Most of you have seen me out there, but we're going to continue to be in your face, ready to answer any questions, hear whatever concerns you have, and then carry those concerns to Washington and work on solutions. But we got to stop this. Our nation is a mess. Let me give you one more thing that I am not afraid to approach. Our Constitution is broken. And I believe it's time to start the conversation for a Constitution Convention. Now, some people will say, that's pretty extreme, Dr. Jeff. Yeah, well, guess what? Our Constitution is anti-democratic in nature. Anti-democratic in nature. From the beginning, our Constitution has been on shaky ground. And now we're starting to see some of the results of that. So I'm brave enough to start a constitutional convention talk. Listen, thank you for all who have listened tonight, all of you who will go back and listen to these facts. If you have any questions, go to my website. You can email us. We will get back to you. I will answer whatever questions you may have. Again, vote for me, Georgia's District 13 congressional person. Representative. I am battle tested and ready to start legislation on day one, to start representing you on day one, to get rid of a person who is now and has been our representative for too long, who votes against our needs, who votes with this president, who is not fighting for affordable health care, Medicare for all, universal health care. He is not fighting for public education funding and Title I funding. He is not fighting to save our voters' rights. I will. Those of you who know me know I ain't never been scared. So vote for me, support us. If you could donate $5, $10, skip that Starbucks macchiato, caramel macchiato for one day, and go ahead and make a donation. Listen, thank you so much for your attention. We will have more of these before May 19th, because that's when primary election is. We got to get out and vote. Make sure that you're registered to vote. If you see me, I normally carry voter registrations with me. So anywhere I go, I will have voter registration forms. I'll get you registered. You can vote. Vote for me, Dr. Jeff Fauntleroy Sr., 13th congressional seat in the state of Georgia. I love you. Respect. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. I think I got a comment here. Oh, thank you, Brother Cornell. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brother Joel. Thank you, Karen. Thank all of you for tuning in. Brother Fields, Brother Scott, Ollie Johnson, Elizabeth Hendricks, Michelle Alvin, Joanne Mitchell Clark, Brian Davis, Marilyn, Stowell, Rue, thank you. Mark Douglas, thank you, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all your support, Brother Mark. Appreciate you, man, so much. Man, if you were nearby, I'd put you on my campaign staff, man, for sure. God bless you all, though. Keep us in your prayers as I keep you in our prayers. Keep America in our prayers. We can do better. I know that we can. Together, we could do so much better. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. I hope you elect me. But if you don't, I'll still be around fighting. Sister Kathy, thank you so much. God bless you. One love, Mark. Brian Davis, God bless you, man. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all. Go ahead, hit me up on my website. Go ahead and donate, like, and share this with somebody. And keep posted because we're going to be doing more all the way up into May. And then after that, if we have to. But we're going to win this thing. I'm not worried about all these folks with all this money. Footwork, in your face, talking facts, listening to you. I always learn, and I taught even my children, listen to what a person is saying so that you can hear what they're saying. Take that. God bless you. We'll see you later. Peace.